and I chose to do it, and I was transparent about it, and I did it.
Nothing wrong with making some money here and there.
But by the way, you say that, and I could say that, and in light, and they'd be like, oh, it's just there's this reporter Ken Vogel, and he calls it like soft corruption, as if I could separate myself from my father in any meaningful way that would not disadvantage or remove the advantage or potential disadvantage of being his son. Okay. So, for instance, if I had decided to be a painter, I chose something when my dad became president that was completely 100% outside of any of the purview of what I thought of the federal government. What control does the federal government have, or the White House or administration or president could have on whether somebody buys a painting of mine or not? It became a national scandal. So I have,
come on, bro. That definitely did look like money laundering. You got to make it, you got to clean it up better than that.
How can I possibly argue that I've not had enormous advantages afforded me because of who my dad was? But I certainly have paid the fucking price too, and I've been held accountable in ways that nobody that didn't have my last name would be held accountable. And I've been afforded options as it relates to that accountability that nobody that didn't have my last name would be afforded that. Mm-hmm. But and I'm not looking for sympathy.
Now, I was over here looking up Hunter's education because he said a lot. And I'm like, all right, now, how does your education qualify you to be on an energy company? Because, you got a Bachelor of Arts degree from Georgetown University. Like, nice. I mean, you pretty much got a JD degree. Pretty much was a juris degree is the degree you need to take the bar exam. So you're not a lawyer, but I mean, you're able to take the bar exam. And that's pretty much it. I mean, how the hell you end up on not weapons, sorry, but an energy company? What you know about that?
It's just interesting. I mean, the way you put it,
the fact of life.
The way you put it's actually pretty fascinating. Like every way that you've been able to get ahead kind of boomerangs to where if you do anything that is seen in the public eye as being like negative or problematic, it gets thrown back in your face 10 times harder.
Yeah, and the thing is is that here I am. I'm a 55-year-old man. I've raised children. I'm a grandfather. I'm obviously a father and a brother and a son and a grandson and a nephew and a painter and a business person and a lawyer. And I'm sitting here like talking about my dad. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, Jesus Christ. I don't know if that makes any sense, but my point is,
I interviewed Tom Hanks' son once.
Yeah.
And he's got a similar dilemma. He's a rapper. He's a weightlifter. Yeah. He's also in recovery. He does a bunch of cool stuff, but still, people want to ask him, hey man, can I meet your dad one day? Or he still has to comment about what it's like being Tom Hanks' son. I remember he said he was getting a haircut and the guy was like, yo, tell your pops I love Forrest Gump. He just walked out because it was round 1,000. And I take it that you've had a similar experience.
Yeah, I can't judge.
I mean, that's hard for any son that has an overly successful dad. It's like you kind of live in your dad's shadow no matter what you do, no matter how wild you act. The main topic that people will bring up to you will be your dad. And it sucks. I bet it sucks, my friend. I bet it does.
Anybody else's relationship with their dad. Is that all I know is this, is that I am more proud to be my dad's son than anything in my life. I mean, truly mean that. I don't know. I'm not exaggerating. I haven't seen somebody depicted in fiction, in a movie, in a book,
Facts.
Story from a friend, real life, my own experience, that anyone that is as good as father as my dad is. And just that, I mean, the one single thing that I aspire to, what I don't know whether I'll ever achieve to the degree that he has, is the way in which he has been a father to me, to my brother, to my sister, and a grandparent to my children, and a father to so many people that you'll never meet. There is story after story after story that will never be told of the kid that he met on the rope line that stuttered, and he was 12 years old. And you do know ones, but I'm telling you, there are dozens. My dad, any given moment, you turn around and he's on the phone with somebody you met on the train.
Biden did not stutter. If you listen to Biden, even back in the day when he had a head full of, when his hair was actually brown, that man didn't have a stutter. When he was campaigning with Obama, I never heard a stutter from Biden. If you did, let me know, because when he was campaigning or when he was vice president for Obama, as good as Obama spoke, you think he'd have let a stutter be his VP? Really make it make sense.
Whose brother just died, and they're having a hard time because their mom's drinking again, and he'll slip him his number. As president of the United States, as vice president, story after story after story, while still having the time to never not be there for me. I'm not kidding, and I think people think it's like an exaggeration. My dad does not go a day without leaving me a message by phone or by text, not a single day that I can remember in my whole life, and that goes from my children. And it's all born out of from him, the lesson he learned from when he lost my mom and my sister is that you will have a day in your worst moment, like he did, in which you won't be able to pick up the phone and call that person ever again. And so, like for me, I heard this, who's that guy? Chuck Todd, the guy that got fired from MSNBC or whatever he did, he used to be like one of the big society that's bigger than Joe Biden is this: how we handle people that age in front of our eyes and recognize that they may have lost a physical step, but that does not mean they don't have the mental capacity to continue to do their job, and whether there still should be to be valued. So my dad grew old in front of everybody's eyes, and the difference between whether or not you thought that he was politically viable based upon your own biases, or whether you thought that he was politically capable based upon his accomplishments. Just remember, Joe Biden got 81 million votes, and it wasn't because of Donald Trump that Joe Biden got 81 million votes.
Let's be real. All right, then where was that 81 million votes for Kamala? Like, where was it? Why didn't they come to save her? Because trust me, if she'd have got that 81 million, she'd have probably won.
Joe Biden got more votes than anybody that's ever run for president in the United States.
But you told me Kamala was that bad of a candidate where more than 10 million voters didn't show up for her? That's tough.
By a large margin. I mean, just think about it this way. The maximum number of votes that Barack Obama got just 8 years earlier was 69 million. Okay. Population hasn't grown that much. They had the highest voter participation of any presidential election since 1901. Joe Biden had the most successful midterms of any president on either party in their first term since FDR in 1932. We won more state legislative, we won more state houses, more governorships. We picked up a seat in the Senate, which has never happened since 1932. And we held the Republican gains in the House to an all-time low, lower than even 1932. Then with the slimmest majority of any president ever, with a 50-50 Senate and a 4 or 5 vote majority in the House of Representatives, he passed more legislation in 2 years than any president has in 8 years since Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah, the problem is though, he effed it all up, and the economy still went to shit, and many jobs were lost, especially in the manufacturing sector. So, like, let's be real, he got his legislation through, but for who? Because it wasn't for the American people. I'll tell you that right now. It seems like it was all about that good old foreign aid,
including the Investment Reduction Act, the Recovery Act, including the PACT Act, which was troops healthcare, the first gun legislation that has been passed in a generation, and the list goes on and on. And he came off of that, and for some reason, the intelligentsia of the Democratic Party, with 2020 hindsight, believes that Joe Biden should have considered not running again because of their perception that he was too old. And so then the drumbeat began. And the New York the New York Times, on a near daily basis, egged on by the Pod Save America saviors of the Democratic Party, with 4 white millionaires that are dining out on their association with Barack Obama from 16 years ago, living in Beverly fucking Hills, telling the rest of the world what black voters in South Carolina really want.
Hey, hold on, Hunter. I agree with you. Nah, cook, Hunter.
Or what the women in the waitress living outside of Green Bay, Wisconsin really believes. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, I can't believe that we do this over and over again.
Yeah.
Or I hear Rahm Emanuel is going to run for president. What a fucking, David Axelrod's going to run his campaign for him. That's like, oh boy, there's the answer. There's the fucking answer. Genius is all. All of the things that they've won. You remember this, is that everybody talks about Joe Biden now as if he was somehow the choice of the Democratic Party. Bullshit. We lost Iowa. We lost New Hampshire. We came in second in Nevada. David Plouffe and David Axelrod went on TV. They said that there's no way Joe Biden can get the nomination, not a chance in the world. Mike Bloomberg is going to crush him in California. Elizabeth Warren's going to beat him in Massachusetts. There's going to get wiped out in Texas. He doesn't have the money to run. A lot of rural voters said, fuck you, we love Joe. A lot of urban voters said, fuck you, we love Joe. And they voted for him overwhelmingly. And not only that, everybody said, well, he'll never be able to beat Trump. And then they said, well, he'll never bring us out of COVID. And then he said, he'll never be able to pass bipartisan legislation. And he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And he's living in a different generation and he's living in a past time. And over again, David Axelrod would go on and say, the thing about the president is that he is just a man who time has passed by. And
the problem with Biden is that he passed a lot of legislation, a lot of pork-filled bills. That's the problem with this man's legislative accomplishments. Is that is a whole bunch of pork-filled bills, like the CHIPS Act. I mean, the border bill that had to get shut down because it wasn't about the border; it was about foreign aid. I mean, come on now. Oh, the Inflationary Reduction Act, that was actually a green bill. I mean, bro, this man was the king of pork-filled bills.
He doesn't understand Congress. We passed bipartisan legislation more than any presidents in Lyndon B. Johnson, and who had a supermajority in both the House and the Senate with Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. And who did that? That didn't happen by magic. That didn't happen in the Obama administration. That happened because Joe Biden got on the phone with Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer and the rest of the party and Republicans in the party, and he passed a fucking bill because Mitch McConnell didn't stand in the way like he did to every other president other than Joe Biden. And he got it done. He did it. Him alone. And then they said, well, look, it's all going to come down to this State of the Union speech. It's going to come down to the State of the Union speech. That was it. And he knocks it out of the park.
And it was that one debate that caused the full backslide.
Yeah, man. And I'll tell you what, I know exactly what happened in that debate. He flew around the world, basically, and the mileage that he could have flown around the world 3 times.
Yeah.
He's 81 years old. He's tired as shit. They give him Ambien to be able to sleep. He gets up on the stage, and he looks like he's a deer in the headlights. And it feeds into every fucking story that anybody wants to tell. And Jake Tapper, with literally how many anonymous sources. If this was a conspiracy, Andrew, you know this. Somehow, the entirety of a White House in which you literally living on top of each other has kept their mouth shut about, like what? And what's the conspiracy?
Yeah.
That Joe Biden got old? Yeah, he got old. He got old before our eyes.
The problem is that we were calling it out before the left was, and you guys were just kind of playing cleanup on the matter. When it started becoming so noticeable to where even the guys on the left was like, I don't know what's up with Biden. He seems a bit off. I mean, all the public events where he would walk off the stage in the wrong direction. He would forget who's he's supposed to be announcing for. I mean, he actually did that to Prime Minister Modi, of all people. So yeah, there was obvious signs that the Republicans was calling out that the Dems were honestly just now catching up to, or that they were just now kind of admitting to. In my eyes, they were just now admitting to it because there was no way they didn't see this coming. Or there was no way they didn't see what we were seeing. They were just gaslighting us the whole time.
People that came out against him,
hopefully,
were who? Nobody, except Speaker Pelosi, Speaker Emeritus Pelosi, did not give a full-throated endorsement, which allowed everybody else to kind of go, okay, except who came out full-throated? Progressives, AOC, Bernie, the entire progressive ring, Ro Khanna, the entirety of the progressive side of the Democratic Party said Joe Biden has got more of our agenda accomplished in 4 years than any president in history. The largest investment into climate change in history. Just that alone, okay? And so he gets over the hump. he goes and does a Stephanopoulos. Everybody's okay. That's not enough. We got to see him give a press conference. For what? You remember that? It was about a 2-hour-long press conference, and he gave a tour de force around the world history lesson about the existence of NATO, Russian aggression, and Ukraine.
It didn't make no sense.
Okay, well, wait. He's got to go give a speech in. He's going to speak to the NAACP, because the NAACP and the Hispanic Caucus and the Black Caucus said, if you fuck over Joe, don't count on us. Because you know what they're doing? They're trying to take South Carolina away as the first primary state. The first time in history that the heart and soul of the Democratic Party gets to have its voice heard first, after 50 years of Iowa and New Hampshire with 3% black population states.
I thought it was less.
Less than that.
New Hampshire's got to be closer to 1.
Closer to 1.
I saw a few black senators.
Finally, and you know what? You know what you have? You have the Pod Save America motherfuckers saying, I don't think South Carolina, was only there because of Joe Biden, and Joe Biden and that's what he did to save his own self. Why should South Carolina have the vote? What the fuck? I mean, are they out of their fucking minds? Anyway,
so moving forward, you feel like did he want to drop out?
No, so we got to Nevada, and he made the speech before the Black Caucus, and then right before he was about to give, which was rousing success, and he then was going to give a speech to the Hispanic Caucus, who was in Las Vegas at the same time in Nevada, and he woke up in the morning and he had a severe case of COVID. And the pictures of him getting on and off the plane were just devastating. And then the vultures descended. George Clooney's, came out with his, maybe it was a little before that, with his op-ed. And then you had all the money people. And then you had a whole host of other people that had, I guess that, Truman saying it can be applied to Joe Biden more than anybody else. If you want a friend in Washington, get a dog.
Why is George Clooney always saying shit? I thought he was just acting in Ocean's 11 and stuff like that. He's seriously been saying shit.
Yeah. Here's what he said. He said that the president needed to be introduced.
And shout out to my man Vladstein. He's like, don't do drugs, okay? You'll end up like Hunter Biden. I mean, hey, man ain't lying. Retard alert. To kind of go with the South Park.
To him at a fundraiser that he was ostensibly the host of. There was this gigantic fundraiser in which George Clooney wasn't really the host. He was the entertainment, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, God bless him. I appreciate when entertainers and movie stars and people of conscience and that are on our side want to do raise money and stuff like that. If you're with the president at any given time, have you been like at a rope line for the president or anything like that? Anyway, what happens is that you go to people come to take pictures, and usually before or after an event, the president will line up. People will come and they'll take a picture with them and they'll say hello. And there's a person that stands next to the president and they say, Mr. President, George Clooney and Julia Roberts. Hey, George, Julia, how you doing? Mr. President, Andrew Callahan. And you may have been filming him all day, and he may know George for the last 30 years, and he may have met him 15 times. But the guy on his shoulder, who's usually a military officer, has one job, to say the name of the person that's walking up. That's it. And George Clooney is now, to rationalize why he attempted to cut the knees out from a sitting president, the most successful president in the history of his party in his life, in terms of the legislative policies that he wanted to see passed, had to justify somehow him going above and beyond to write an op-ed in the New York Times to try to force the sitting president of the United States out of the race. And so he makes up this story about how the president had to be introduced to him.
Oh, like he didn't recognize George Clooney?
Exactly.
Because of like dementia or something?
Oh, I don't know. Or that's the implication, right?
Yeah. Like he's forgetting things.
Yeah. And by the way, I remember this story. Is this?
Now, to be fair, there's a lot of stories going around from multiple Biden staffers, like multiple people employed or I would say appointed by Biden, who are saying that, the man's mental his cognitive ability is slipping. He's falling all over the place. He's forgetting people's names. He's bringing up like, bro, the man got wrong when his uncle died, or he got wrong when his son died, or he got what was it? He was talking about his son's death and he got it wrong. And I'm just like, yeah, somebody get this man off stage or somebody get him off camera because it's getting bad if he's starting to forget about his own son's death. Like, let's be real, guys. And then let's be honest. Every time he gave those public speeches, this man always seemed off and he couldn't get through a sentence without just like rambling out the rest of the words, which were gibberish.
Is that George Clooney wasn't going to show up to that fundraiser, and he was bitching to the White House staff and to the people, the senior staff, is that he was so angry that the president would criticize the arrest warrant that was executed for Netanyahu. And the president, when asked, said, would they arrest Netanyahu if he came to the United States? And he said he would not have the authority, nor would he do that. And I guess George Clooney's wife was the principal architect of that arrest of that warrant for Netanyahu. And I don't judge that in one way or another, was the right thing or not. He was very, very angry that my dad did not, I guess, like, pay homage to her or something. I understand, defending your wife or something, but I mean, I saw the text messages that he wrote, reams of text messages, like, how dare he do that? And he kept promising that he was going to embarrass the president and pull out of the fundraiser.
Before we continue about the vultures, I have a George Clooney story. Hopefully we can leave it in. My only really famous Hollywood friend is actor Jack Black, from School of Rock. And so we used to be neighbors in Los Feliz. And so Tenacious D did a concert in Sydney, Australia. This is a day after they tried to assassinate Trump in Butler, PA. And I guess Jack Black's guitarist or whatever jumps up on stage and he yells something to the effect of, hey, next time you try to shoot Trump, aim a little bit closer.
Don't miss Trump next time.
George Clooney is blowing his phone up, being like, if you don't kick your band member out of the band and like publicly denounce this guy, like, I don't know what the consequences were, but it was kind of like.
And shout out to the significance of time. All right. Hunter's Secret Service versus Obamas? Is that what you mean?
Like, you're out of what we don't know. And so his hand was basically forced to be like, oh, sorry, my band member has serious mental health problems. We're breaking up the band for now. The tour is canceled. And so, I mean, it is cool to see Hollywood actors voice more progressive opinions, but
fuck him and everybody around him. Or not to be fucking nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. Fucking George Clooney is not a fucking actor. He is a fucking I don't know what he is. He's a brand. And by the way, and God bless him. You know what? He supposedly treats his friends really well. You know what I mean? Buys them things. And he's got a really great place in Lake Como. And he's great friends with Barack Obama. Fuck you. What do you have to do with fucking anything? Why do I have to fucking listen to you? What right do you have?
And shout out Vladstein. I mean, I guess you're taking Hellbat's place for the jokes, because I mean, Hellbat was killing it last night. But shout out to Vladstein. He says, at least the White House has Diet Coke instead of White Coke. Woo, I ain't even gonna lie, Vlad. You kind of hitting hard with that one. I mean, if I was a Dem, that'd hurt my feelings. But that was definitely a banger joke, bro.
To step on a man who's given 52 years of his fucking life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the fucking New York Times to undermine the president at a time in which, by the way, what do people care about the most? Why do you think that
I mean, what's wrong with George Clooney making sure that his money doesn't go to waste on a senile old man? I mean, he's a donor, right? So isn't it fair that he's like, yo, I kind of want somebody who's competent, who's not like slurring and rambling all over television. Like, I'm donating a lot of money into you guys. Can you get somebody that's competent? That's not an extreme act. It's not unreasonable. He's just making sure his investment is good. And this man Hunter's pissed.
Republicans have an advantage over us because they're unified. They will go along with anything. I wasn't asking anybody to go along with anything. I was asking people to go along with this. The most successful administration in my lifetime. And I'm including the Obama administration, I'm including the Reagan administration, I'm including every administration in my lifetime. We have gotten more done for the agenda of the things that your generation and my generation cared about than any president in history. And we didn't get it all done, but more than anybody else, with the slimmest majority ever. And everybody said that there's no way that he's ever going to be able to do that. And you know what George Clooney did? Because he sat down, I guess, because he was like given a blessing by the Obama team or the Obama people and whoever else, and David Axelrod and whoever the fuck else, is to go, okay, yeah, you know what? We are going to insert our judgment over yours. Me and James Carville, who hasn't run a race in 40 fucking years, and David Axelrod, who had one success in his political life, and that was Barack Obama. And that was because of Barack Obama, not because of fucking David Axelrod. And David Plouffe, and all of these guys, and the Pod Save America guys, who were junior fucking speechwriters in, on Barack Obama's Senate staff, who have been dining out on the relationship with him for years, making millions of dollars. The Anita Dunns of the world, who's made $40, $50 million off the Democratic Party. They're all going to insert their judgment over a man who has figured out, unlike any.
Hey, but the Dems will tell you, nah, the Dems aren't paid for. No, there's really no billionaires on the Dem side. That's just Trump. Trump is the one sponsored by billionaires, but we got people making multi-millions off the Democratic Party. No, they're not really making a business, not giving employee or giving, not providing employment or shelter. Nope. They're just, kissing ass for the corporate elites to go ahead and sell you guys an idea. And they're making multi-millions off it. But hey, Trump's the only guy sponsored by billionaires. Oh, my bad. The Republicans, they're the ones sponsored by the billionaires. But it's both sides, guys. Let's be fair. It's both sides that make a lot of money, multi-millions, just all being a politician. And those are the ones we should watch out for on both sides.
Anybody else, how to get elected to the United States Senate over 7 times, how to pass more legislation than any president in history, how to have a better midterm election than anybody in history, and how to garner more votes than any president that has ever run. And they're going to replace their judgment for his. Not to mention, too, about actors. When actors take up very staunch progressive opinions, it gives working class Americans the perception that left-leaning beliefs are.
And shout out to my man Hellbat. He said the tower in Pisa leans because it can dodge it can dodge a plane. So the tower in Pisa leans because it can dodge a plane. Okay. Well, I never heard that one before. Shout out BG Floyd. He says, wherever there is rich people, there is DT Coke. I mean, well, damn. I mean, there may be some truth to that. I mean, according to Emmanuel Macron, the way we see Macron kind of shuffle about with that mysterious, bag with the white substance in it.
Elitist. Because
it was, come on, bro. It was baking soda, guys. He has to wash his clothes on the go. You feel me?
Seeing all these rich people that they perceive to be these untouchable celebrities in the shining lights in the marquee as being liberal. So it's really easy to market conservatism as a working man's countercultural thing.
And what was the one thing that Joe Biden, no one ever could pin on him?
That he was
a left-leaning, rich, liberal elitist.
Yeah.
The one thing that Joe Biden was not, that they could not take away from Joe Biden, he was the stuttering kid from fucking Scranton that fucking worked his way up, and that he said some fucking things that were a little impolitic at times. But you know what? He reminded me of my dad, not my idiot dad, but my dad who brought us through the tough times. And I knew at the end of the day that Joe Biden actually cared about me. And you know what? I think Joe Biden is a little bit as confused about what transgender is as I am. But and I know that he also is not going to do. He's not going to beat the shit out of my kid if I decide to let my kid be transgender. But he's going to say, I don't get it. Explain it to me. You know what I mean? Explain it to me. That's who he is. He's the guy that's going to be asked in an interview when he was vice president, well, what do you think about marriage between a man and a man? And he's going to say,
nah, Joe Biden better know what trans is. The man's been backing it for 4 years straight. I mean, let's be real. He's been hollering out he's been pretty much giving special word out to the trans for 3 to 4 years. So I would hope he knows what trans ideology is, what this whole trans movement is, more than the Republicans would, because it kind of seems like we know more about it than the Dems do.
I think love is love. Doesn't mean that he has to necessarily understand it. But all he knows is his own personal experience. But he wasn't shoving it down your throat like George Clooney shoving it down your fucking throat.
Also, I know you're a man of peace now.
Who says that?
But if you did see Jake Tapper, would it be time for a little bit of a schoolyard fight?
Look, man, I mean this sincerely. It's almost not worth commenting on it because he's completely irrelevant. And I really mean this, is this. What who's Jake Tapper's audience? Jake Tapper,
my mom or something. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. For real though, I don't even think it's your mom anymore.
No,
because by the numbers, what influence does Jake Tapper have over anything? He has the smallest audience on cable news, and beyond that, I think that the book is right now on the Amazon that he put out. I mean, his ratings just went to shit after he put the book out. You know, they did a 2-week infomercial for it. I mean, it was such a money grab, such a disservice to everybody that he serves with. That the journalism that he purports to take part in, and he's very personal. He has a real problem with me. He does this whole rant about how I was the acting chief of staff and that I took control of the White House and I orchestrated this cover up.
I mean, yeah, he said that because it sounded sexy. I'm not even going to lie. I mean, look, he wrote that book not to be informative, not to break news, but to have a very sexy story that you can just read along to. And it's still bomb. But that's just karma. That's karma. His bomb because of karma. If he'd have wrote that at the beginning, he'd have been a legend. But since he wanted to write it when everybody else was catching up to it and he wanted to get a money grab off it with his narcissistic ass, because I don't know where in his mind, you got to be a straight up narcissist to think that, oh, I'm so great that I can come out with a story that everybody else been talking about for years and I'm going to pretend like I'm the breaking one because I wrote a fucking book. Like, really, brother? Really? Wow. But shut up last scene says, nah, he shoved it down his daughter's throat. Bro. God damn it. Bro.
Of my dad's health and well-being at the same time as who would ever trust a person like me that was a crack addict that got their sister-in-law addicted to crack cocaine, things that he has no notion of or idea about in personal, you know, like, Jesus Christ, Jake, grow the fuck up.
Well, a lot of these dudes now, you can
really, is this a personal thing with me?
I feel like this is the Trump era now. You're seeing a lot of like liberals and progressives kind of start to shift a little bit right, or at least capitulate to right-wing tendencies because they're following power and capital. Like, I don't know if you've seen this A24 movie recently called Warfare. It's a really good movie, but it's borderline like valorizing the Iraq war veterans, which I think I respect veterans in general, but like with no context as to like what was going on in Iraq, like why we were there, and sort of like paints the locals as these sort of.
Is this based off the book?
I think so.
That he said that he wrote, he would take 15 minutes with his coffee and he wrote a book in like 6 months because he's some kind of fucking genius.
But the point is, like, A24 is the same company that made Moonlight and was making movies that were all about like trans issues 4 or 5 years ago. So now you're starting to see, you're seeing money move right. So I'm not surprised that somebody like Jake Tapper, who's probably
I mean, yeah, you see that new Superman movie? Everybody was like relieved. They're like, oh my God, thank God you didn't make Superman a woman or trans or something. Or you didn't make Lois Lane a black woman. It's like, thank God. Okay. Thank you guys for leaving Superman alone. We appreciate that.
Concerned about revenge.
That's it. And by the way, again,
like, shoot, man, I like my Superman white just like I like my rappers black. Cause like, I'll be real.
All comes down to money. Every single thing is that you can see the choices that these people make. What is the historical value of a book that is not sourced? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know of any on-the-record source of any significance other than the story that's being repeated over and over again, which I can tell you I was there. I watched George Clooney be introduced to my dad with 30 other people in line, and the guy said, Mr. President, George Clooney and Julia Roberts. That's it. That's the story. There's dozens of witnesses. Yeah. Other than that story, there's literally no sourcing. So what's it about? It's about money. It was a money grab. Jake decided, I could basically do this infomercial. I'm going to pick up the entire right wing because they're going to want to read this book, and they're going to do exactly why they're not reading it. They're not buying the book, and they're criticizing them. But what they're also doing is they started a congressional investigation, and now I have to deal with another fucking subpoena because Jake Tapper has decided that he's through anonymous sources going to create some conspiracy of a crime. And here we are. To what end? To what end? As the world falls apart around us, why do I have to fucking spend my time worrying or thinking about or even talking about somebody as irrelevant as Jake Tapper? I mean, really, Jake Tapper in history? Where does he stand? I don't know.
I saw him in the streets of Ukraine, in Lviv, during the war. And I think he thought that I was a right-wing sort of troll or something. So I was like, hey, Tapper. I don't know why I said, hey, Tapper. I just thought he would respond. And he just like started fucking walking away as fast as he could. And I was like, Tapper. And he was just like out of there. So, I mean, that made me think, all right, this is not really my guy. But backing up a little bit.
I've known Jake for 30 years.
Okay, well,
yeah.
Jake, if you see this, you should have said what's up to me. Moving back to the vultures that ensued after that, I feel like we kind of lost track a bit. You're talking about the decision to drop out, and you're talking about the day after COVID. Vultures
so he gets out of that. He comes off of the plane. He looks absolutely distraught and disheveled, and it's the exact wrong image at the exact wrong time. And then they descended, and they truly descended. This is my recollection of what happened, and it is not his. And he will be able to tell his of why he decided and what he decided and what he did. But what I felt happened is that he was given a choice. Either they decided on a nuclear option. They said, we are going to blow up the party if you don't drop out. We're going to protest this all the way up for the next month, all the way up to the convention.
Damn.
Every single moment and every single day is going to be a test of your ability to put one foot in front of the other without tripping and blowing the whole thing up. We're going to hold you to such a microscopic accountability in terms of your health that if you have an off day and misspeak, if you do one of the things that Donald Trump does 35 fucking times a day. Did you see the other day when Donald Trump pointed to the Declaration of Independence and said, I'm against war. I think we could have saved 600,000 lives in the Civil War.
You look right up there. I don't know. See the Declaration of Independence, and I say, I wonder if the Civil War. It always seemed to me maybe that could have been solved without losing 600,000 plus people.
As if there's a connection between the Declaration of Independence and the Civil War. But can you imagine my dad did that? Can you imagine if he opened up that treaty with the Prime Minister Starmer at the G7 in Canada and all the pages fell out, and then he said that he just signed a treaty with the European Union, with the Prime Minister of the UK standing next to him? Can you imagine? And then if he got on a plane and said the reason that he was going home early from the G7 is because he had a major announcement the next day, and then the next day he put up a flagpole? Can you imagine any of those things?
I mean,
so you're
where
saying,
the fuck is Jake Tapper?
Isn't that a major thing? Why not? It was Flag Day.
Where the fuck is George Clooney? George Clooney's making money off a play because he's such a God's gift to the defense of democracy that he is doing a play on Broadway for us. Thank you very much. He was given a choice. We are going to fight you every step of the way. The party is going to implode. We are going to have a floor fight. We are going to attempt to stop you. We are going to challenge you. We're going to have the Black Caucus, the Hispanic Caucus, the progressive wing of the party against the liberal elite money side of the party. And that they were going to try to dry up all the money. And so they decided that they were going to do a nuclear option. So Joe Biden, I think, did the most selfless thing that I know of any politician in the history of this fucking country did. He stepped aside to save the party. And in that void filled the only person that he would ever endorse out of the gate, because he chose her as his vice president. There's no choice.
I mean, that's crazy. So you're pretty much saying, yo, we'll blow up the whole Democratic Party and we'll lose a primary, bro. We'll lose a couple of those just to make sure that you get slandered and we ruin your legacy. So pretty much they threaten Biden's legacy as president, and they say, bro, we're about to blow this up and make a whole scandal out of you, and we're going to be heavily crucial on it. I mean, yeah, he had to step aside. I mean, one, to save the Democratic Party, because that only made the Republicans look 10 times better. And then it would only go to to what we've been seeing lately, that these guys have no real leadership. And three, I mean, it would just tarnish Biden's legacy. His legacy's already been tarnished with this whole auto pen thing, but it'd have been further tarnished with the whole Democratic Party turning against them, donors included.
In that. And by the way, I love Kamala Harris. I think that she would have made an incredible president. I know that she was an incredibly loyal vice president. And she did everything that she could to support my dad, everything, and to support me and my family personally. I mean, I truly love her like family. And I think that she would have made an incredible president. And I think she ran an incredible campaign. You know who did not want Kamala Harris to be president and did not want her to be the nominee? Nancy Pelosi didn't want her to be. None of Nancy Pelosi's people wanted her to be. Yeah. They wanted an open convention. They wanted a floor fight. They wanted I don't know what the hell they wanted, but they wanted to be the ones to anoint whoever they were going to anoint to become the next president of the United States.
Who do you think that would have been?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have any idea. All I know is that they definitely did not want Kamala Harris. And again, which undermined her, which undermined the campaign. You know, I mean, I look at these people and talk about like, well, where were they? We had 100 days. She got 100. She literally was handed $100 million check. She ran her ass off. She had an incredible organization, incredible grassroots organization. David Plouffe took over the campaign. You know, what did they do? Where did they spend their money?
Those camo hats they thought were going to make the kids go crazy, but most of the kids are pretty
Man,
Palestine pilled.
Look, I'm telling you, one of the reason I think that whether, you know, I'm not a conspiracy theorist completely, but I don't know what happened in that election. I don't think that it was her fault necessarily. I don't think that it was anybody's fault except this. One of the reasons.
I mean, Hunter, it was your dad's fault for not stepping aside sooner so they can go ahead and prop up a better candidate. I mean, due to the fighting that Biden did, and let's be real, Biden might have been a savage and just waited to the last second to F up to screw everybody. He's like, yeah, who are you going to put in now? Kamala Harris? And well, that's exactly what they did. And you guys lost because of that. I mean, yeah, you didn't have a runner up, and then you guys wanted time to get a runner up, and that didn't come for you guys due to the latency of Joe Biden's withdrawal. That's tough. That is definitely tough. I do feel kind of bad for you guys. That's a lot to go through, Dems.
That people would stick with my dad is because of the loyalty that they had to him. And you had to be unified. You have to make it feel like you're part of something. What they proved, what the Democratic Party proved, is they have no guts. I mean, by the way, I say party. The elite, white, ultra, I wouldn't even say liberal because it's not liberal. The old school, moneyed liberal wing of the Democratic Party.
Like the people who donate to the colleges.
The people that
shoot, that's the same problem over here in the Republican Party. It's the old guys. It's the old money. Those guys are the problem.
Donate to the colleges, the people that donate to the multi-million-dollar checks to the DNC and the DCCC and the DSCC, the Schumer people and the Pelosi people and those people, not the rank and file of the Democratic Party, not the Black Caucus, not the Hispanic Caucus, not the progressive wing, not the people that came out for AOC and Bernie and those people. I'm talking about not the heart of the Democratic Party, but the controlling interest of the corporate side of the Democratic Party. Right. They proved to America that there is no loyalty in the Democratic Party. 81 million votes in 2020 was all about Donald Trump and nothing about Joe Biden. I'm asking this question. If that's the truth, then what? Did people become more comfortable with Donald Trump after 34 felony counts January 6th? And
yeah, actually, yes. Yes. I mean, even after the felony counts, we all knew that this was a kangaroo court to put the man through. You guys were trying to slander his name, and it didn't work. And I like it. It was pretty much the strategy of the Dems was to slander, convict. And all it did was make the man look better. All it did was show that, think about it like this. Everybody's ready to come with this perception of, the deep state is out to get Donald Trump. Right? And this is one of the reasons why we like him. Now, you guys proved that. You guys literally threw everything at him, and you proved that, all right, so yes, there is a deep state or the state that's after this man. And you made him look 10 times better. I mean, he got the mug. What was it? Bro, he got the mug shot. That worked out well for him. I mean, being a felon didn't even hinder his chances of being a president. You guys low-key created this man, Dems. And now you're upset. It is what it is. And shout out to the significance of time. He's like, sucks being black Irish. My nose can't touch with what my fingers can. It sucks being black Irish. He says, my nose can't touch what my fingers can. Well.
And a civil lawsuit.
And appreciate the support, bro. I think it's like my first or second time seeing you on here.
2020 was all about Donald Trump and nothing about Joe Biden. I'm asking this question. If that's the truth, then what? Did people become more comfortable with Donald Trump after 34 felony counts January 6th and a civil lawsuit in the E. Jean Carroll case?
I think a huge issue too, especially in my generation, was like the post.
I mean, here's the thing. If you guys would have just been chilling on Trump and just debated his ideas, debated his policy, honestly, you guys might have been able to win that. But you sensationalized him. You made him a character you made him a character bigger than himself. That's the problem. I mean, here's the thing. It wasn't us calling this man a dictator or calling him King Trump. It was you guys. And you guys may have been doing it with disrespect, but You guys like grandize this man more than MAGA ever could. I mean, you guys said he can just strike down bills whenever he wants to. You guys say he damn near owns the Republican Party. Oh, he's a dictator. He's a king. I mean, we're not saying this. You guys are. I mean, you guys are making this guy out to be like, I don't know, the political boogeyman. But and due to the fact that you guys aggrandized this guy's name, then made him bigger than he really is, he won the election. And that's all on you. Thank you, TDS. Thank you.
October 7th, Israel-Palestine situation. I think there was so many people that felt like that was kind of like the BLM 2.0, you know, with the campus protests and
where are they now, Andrew?
Movements. Who
those protesters?
Some of them. Well,
when he said that he's going to turn Gaza into a Trump branded golf course, and he's on track to doing that. He said that he would have the conflict, the war over the day that he took office. More people have died in Gaza between when he was inaugurated and today than at any time between October 7th and when my dad left office. Yeah. And where are they now?
The protesters?
Yeah.
They're still active, but not as active. And I think part of that has to do with just the fact that the conflict's been going on for longer. But I'm saying